This landed at a ranch at Corona, New Mexico. The rancher turned it over to the Air Force. Rancher W.W. Brazil was the man who discovered the saucer.
What I thought was a star began coming in my direction at a very rapid rate of speed.
The unidentified object, which some sources thought might be a blimp, moved slowly down the Pacific coast from Santa Monica and disappeared south of Long Beach.
I saw a UFO, and it went down the river, turned right at the United Nations, turned left, and then down the river.
UFO classified. UFO classified. No more plausible deniability. Fact, fiction, or the truth. You decide. And now, the new voice of the high desert, the hostess of UFO Classified, Erica Lukes.
Happy Fantopia Friday, my friends. I'm Erica Lukes, and I'm always excited to be here, especially tonight, because I have somebody that very rarely gives interviews, and so this is a treat. He's also a wealth of knowledge, and we can learn from him and his many decades in the field of ufology. But first, I want to tell you a little bit about what I've been up to this week, because it's never a dull moment in my world, as you know. I have been busy getting my new organization off the ground here in Utah, and that organization is going to rock. I am so excited. I have the best team on the planet here with me. My assistant director, Jeff Cox, who has been with me, is a great, great person. I've got Bruce Champagne, who's head of cryptozoology, Tracy Vega, who is head of the paranormal research, and Pat Daniels, who is helping us with our beautiful website and much, much more. We are dedicated to scientifically exploring all of these different aspects of the unknown, and we are dedicated to giving that information, giving you our research, because we believe that the only way any of us are going to really move forward is if we share information, which is one of those things I don't think, unfortunately, we do enough in this field. And I will talk to my guest about that in a little bit. Tonight is a night that is very special. On June 24th, 1947, that day marked the beginning of the modern UFO era. Kenneth Arnold was an amateur pilot from Idaho, and he was flying his plane over Mineral, Washington, when he spotted 9 objects. At first, he thought they were geese, but then he realized the speed was far too great. They seemed to flip and flash in the sun just like a mirror, is what he said in an interview. His sighting really propelled us and did so much historically. I'm going to talk to Alan Benz about that and much, much more. But now I'm going to bring Alan on after I read you his fantastic bio. What a treat. Alan is a brilliant man who is leader. He's the organizer of a really prominent, fantastic group, World UFO Group, and they have almost 20,000 members. It's a great site on Facebook. He organizes many, many things. World UFO Day, which is coming up on July 2nd. He was a member of the Aerial Phenomena Research Organization known as APRO. He was a field investigator. He was the staff librarian, and he also did pre-production background consulting for Columbia Pictures' Close Encounters of the Third Kind. He's a member of the MUFON. He's a research specialist and former founder of the Foundation for UFO Research back in 1982. He was born in St. Louis, moved to San Diego. He graduated from the University of San Diego with his BA in history, his major was in history, economics, philosophy, did graduate work, and got his master's in library science. Talk about a brilliant man. And Alan, can I just say that it is so great to hear your voice, finally. Welcome to the show. Oh my gosh, this is such a treat because you don't do interviews, and I feel like a very lucky person to have you here. Thank you.
Oh, you're welcome.
Oh my gosh, we're going to have fun. And I was asking you before we went on air if you were surviving the heat down there in Arizona.
Oh, yeah. Been doing it for years.
That's just old school to you, because when it gets to 100 here, I'm like a wilted little flower.
Yeah, well, one of the old-time weathermen that worked for one of the local TV stations, I think he's retired now, once said that it officially doesn't get hot in Tucson until it's 105 or above. Anything below that is just warm.
Oh, I guess it's all relative, but I tell you, at least it's not like humid, because I think being really in the humidity and the heat is just really draining. But I don't know. I think the trade-off for Arizona is I love Arizona. That is such a cool place.
And we have, it's not just desert and rattlesnakes and Gila monsters. There's northern Arizona, Flagstaff, the White Mountains, and as a matter of fact, Travis Walton lives up there near where he had his famous encounter. He lives up in the Heber Snowflake area, which is right close to the Apache Citrus National Forest, where he had his encounter.
You have such, not only Travis, but you've got Alejandro Rojas, you have Jim Mann and Stacy. You have a really great group, and Dr. Lynn Kitai. You have probably the most exceptional group of people kind of concentrated in Arizona. And as a result, you all bring in some big name speakers and do great things.
Well, yeah, I guess it's being sort of parochial, but I've told several people that Arizona is the center of UFO research there, because besides the ones that you mentioned, we've also had Jim and Coral Lorenzen. We've had the late Dr. Jim McDonald, Wendell Stevens, Bob Dean. Let's see, Jim Delatoso, and Jim Nichols, who I mentioned earlier, has been involved in UFO research since 1980, when he first met Wendell Stevens there. And Jim has an extensive background in UFO art. There's a saying going around that Jim Nichols is the most plagiarized UFO artist on the internet today, because if you look and see a lot of the UFO art that's on the web out there, and probably other places also, if you look closely, or if you know anything about it, you'll see that that art was originally done by Jim Nichols. But then he, more recently, has gotten into video production and has done a number of UFO documentaries and essays on various aspects of the UFO situation. I think it was 2011 or somewhere around there. He actually won an EVI award from the International UFO Congress. So he's just one in the long line of people in Arizona that has made some sort of a mark in the field of UFO research.
Well, and then that is so incredible. What do you think it is about Arizona that attracts that kind of that energy, that consciousness?
I really don't know. I could speculate there, but I really don't. No, I mean, I haven't really seen a common thread. The Lorenzens moved from, I think it was Wisconsin or Minnesota, somewhere up there in the upper Midwest, to Alamogordo, where Jim worked for Holloman Air Force Base for a number of years, and then they moved to Tucson in 1952. Let's see. Wendell came out here, I guess, towards the end of his active UFO career. His Air Force career, and worked with APRO for some time. I think probably late 70s, the early part of 80s. Wendell Stevens was, I think, in charge of investigations for APRO. But that changed when the Meyer case came up, and we might be able to get into that
that would
later.
be great.
And Jim McDonald was teaching atmospheric physics at the University of Arizona, and let's see, Jim Delatoso had Village Labs up in the Tempe area. He's since sold that, but and he's doing other work now. But
and he did a lot with. He did. Sorry to interrupt you, but he did a lot with the Phoenix Lights. I mean, he really helped Dr. Kutai with that, and I thought that was great.
Well, I mean, he's right there. I mean, he lives in Paradise Valley, which is just one of the northern suburbs of Phoenix, and I think Dr. Kutai also lives in Paradise Valley. But Jim basically did, I think, most of his early work doing the work on the Meyer incident there. Well, he had Village Labs, and if I'm not mistaken, he taught at Arizona State University for a while, and had private clients through Village Labs like Caltech, JPL, NASA, AT&T, American Express. You know, all those little mom and pop companies. When it comes to photographic analysis, you have to take what Jim has to say seriously, just the same as if somebody's going to talk about landing trace cases. You're going to have to talk to Ted Phillips at one point in time, or the other, because Ted Phillips has done more work on landing trace cases than any other person that I know of.
Oh, he has. Oh my gosh, I am jealous.
Since 1970.
Oh my gosh, I'm so envious of the connections that you have, because I look at somebody like, I look at Jim Delatoso and Ted Phillips, and I really hold their work in such high esteem. And I think it's important for people coming into the field to understand the gravity of their work, and utilize their research to move forward.
Yeah, I mean, it's like, if you're going to study, like atomic physics, you're going to have to study, Einstein, Niels Bohr, and some of the other J. Robert Oppenheimer, to basically get some sort of understanding there. And as I think I mentioned in a recent offline communication with you, Hynek, the late J. Allen Hynek, was the mentor for Ted Phillips there, and I wouldn't say in any way, shape, or form that I really knew Hynek. I mean, if anybody really knows Hynek, it would be Ted Phillips. But I met Hynek on a number of occasions there at various conferences. And if somebody asked me, well, what was Hynek really like, I would have to say Hynek was the stereotypical college professor. If Columbia or whoever, Sony, wanted to say, we want a college professor for our next film, and they'd say, who would you recommend? I'd say, take a look at the pictures and the work of J. Allen Hynek, whether his astronomical work or his UFO work. I mean, the visual image of Hynek with the beard, the goatee, the pipe, the little tweedy suit, and the briefcase. I mean, for that period of time, you couldn't get more stereotypical college professor than J. Allen Hynek.
Right. You're right. And I mean, this is so amazing. And I want to go back to APRO and how things started, because I think some people that are listening tonight might not have an understanding of the importance of what you all did with APRO. I mean, they were really and truly the pioneer of research in ufology. And I think that it's really important for all of us to understand that, and then also to understand kind of the political happenings that took place and perhaps are still taking place with APRO. So tell us a little bit about the organization.
Well, APRO was the brainchild of the late Jim and Coral Lorenzen. I would say that probably Coral was more of the driving force than Jim was, but that's not to denigrate Jim's role in any way, shape, or form. Usually, in any organization, you have the outside person and you have the inside person, and Coral was definitely the outside person, and Jim was definitely the inside person. Try to get a conversation started with Jim Lorenzen like pulling teeth, because most of his stuff was like, one or two word answers, and he just, that was just his nature, whereas Coral would go on for, just go on and on and on there. And so they started, back in Wisconsin or whatever, back there in the upper Midwest, like I mentioned before. moved to Alamogordo, New Mexico because of Jim's work, and he worked for a contractor at Holloman for several years, and then moved here to Arizona for work purposes there, and he worked on the grounds at the University of Arizona. I don't think he was ever a U of A employee. He worked for a company that had a contract to operate Kitt Peak, which is the one of the major astronomy locations south of Tucson. They're I think the major the sponsoring organization is like National Optical Astronomy Observatory or something like that. They're tied in with NASA and the National Science Foundation, the U of A, and all together. But anyway, that was that. Coral was basically like the housewife sort of thing, and she was also a writer. And if anybody wants to basically get a grounding in UFO situation back in the 50s up until probably into the 70s, there people need to get a hold of either by buying or finding it in the library through either their own library or interlibrary loan or whatever, the 4 Lorenzen paperbacks that they wrote, and they're very easy to read, and they're maybe about 400 pages each. But that will give you a good idea of not only UFOs and UFO research at that time, but also a window into the thinking and operation of APRO as the Lorenzens ran it at that time.
Oh my gosh, we're going to talk a little bit more about that. We're going to take a quick break, and we will be right back, everyone. We'll see you on the other side of the break.
Stand by. This is UFO Classified with Erica Lukes.
Erica Lukes.
The phone lines are open now at 702-425-9230. That's 702-425-9230. Worldwide callers use Skype name KCOR Radio. More UFO Classified.
UFO Classified
with Erica Lukes on the KCOR Digital Radio Network. After this.
Where'd that shot come from?
Alpha 3 to Eagle 1. We've got company.
From Tate Publishing, codename Eagle Force, the saga begins.
I see them, Alpha 3. All units stay low and let them come.
From the eyes of a special ops officer, Joe Michael Riggy brings to life this amazing story of survival, the unknown and the unexpected.
Here they come. Hold your fire. Hold. Now.
Codename Eagle Force at TatePublishing.com.
Now, broadcasting in digital HD radio.
When danger is imminent, will you be prepared? Now many mobile devices can bring you critical information from local sources you trust. With the unique sound and vibration, wireless emergency alerts keep you in the know wherever you are. Learn more at ready.gov/alerts. Brought to you by FEMA and the Ad Council.
What if maintaining a healthy weight was as simple as drinking a cup of coffee? With Valentis coffee, it's that easy. Harvested from the world's most pristine coffee farms and packed with the purest ingredients on earth, Valentis takes losing weight to a completely new level. At Valentis, we believe everyone deserves a chance to be healthy and fit. It's pure, natural, healthy, and delicious. Click the Valentis Healthiest Coffee banner on the KCOR Digital Radio Network website and take the Weight Loss Guarantee Challenge. Valentis Coffee, simply the world's healthiest coffee.
How's it going?
I'm having a stroke.
Are you going to shake my hand?
I'm having a stroke.
Wow, you're not even moving your arm.
I'm having a stroke.
When someone is having a stroke, they may not be able to say it with words, but their body language will tell you loud and clear. Look for FAST, F, face drooping, A, arm weakness, S, speech difficulty, T, time to call 911 immediately. Know the sudden signs. Spot a stroke fast. Visit strokeassociation.org. Brought to you by the American Stroke Association and the Ad Council.
Friday night, 9 p.m. Pacific. Jump onto the Celestial Highway and travel at the speed of light into hyperspace. Hyperspace. Hosted by Solaris Blue Raven. She navigates you through the cosmic tides of mysticism into the world of covert technology, UFOs, mystical sciences, and the world of unforeseen forces.
You get to really sort of enjoy a bizarre ride.
Listen live, Friday night, 9 p.m. Pacific, for Hyperspace, the one show that blows the whistle off our government black ops projects. Hyperspace, hosted by Solaris Blue Raven. Exclusively on the KCOR Digital Radio Network.
Want to take a ride?
You're listening to UFO Classified with Erica Lukes, where the truth isn't hidden beneath the black lines of a Sharpie.
That's the craziest thing I've ever heard.
To be on with Erica, call 702-425-9230. That's 702-425-9230. Worldwide callers use Skype name KCOR Radio.
Radio contact.
Share your thoughts on the show on Twitter by using hashtag KCOR. Or head over to the live chats at KCORradio.com.
The audience goes nuts!
And now, your host of UFO Classified.
Are you ready?
Erica Lukes.
Welcome back, everybody. I'm Erica Lukes. This is KCOR Digital Broadcasting Network, the best place on the planet for all things paranormal. I love being at KCOR. It's such a great station, and Friday nights is chock full of wonderful ladies. We have got Universal Child coming up right after my show, Restricted Airspace, and then Hyperspace. So it's a great night of radio. Good night to go get a margarita and just chill out and enjoy all of this live talk. I want to just give you a little, give you some heads up on what's happening with me. I am doing I've got a new group with some of my great colleagues here in Utah. It's called Unexplained Utah, and you can go to unexplainedutah.com to check that organization out. You can also find me at UFO Classified on Facebook. And speaking of Facebook, my guest tonight is the lead organizer of World UFO Group, and they are almost 20,000 people strong on Facebook. Not only that, he is a brilliant researcher, investigator. He's been around for decades and has seen some amazing things in his time in this field. He is down there in Arizona right now, but I am with Alan Benz. And Alan, welcome back to the show. Like always, I have so many great conversations on the break, and we'll tell everybody about those resources at the library in a little bit. But when we left off, you were talking a bit about your experience with APRO and how that got started. And, keep going with that, because this is such an interesting story for all of us.
Well, they started, and their focus was on research, on people calling in or writing in and saying, I saw this, and then eventually sending out people who would be investigators, not well trained then as now, but given the times and the technology and all that, they did the best that they could. And then the reports that came into APRO headquarters would be looked over by the Lorenzens and some of the local people who helped out in the APRO office that they eventually had. It originally started out in the dining room table in the Lorenzen home, and then it grew from there, and they had a couple of actual physical offices off-site of the Lorenzens where people could come in during regular office hours and look at the material and stuff like that, and the office couldn't check it out there. But their focus was on the research. Then when Kehoe came along there with NICAP, the National Investigations Committee on Aerial Phenomena, based in D.C., their focus mainly was on, from my perspective, on what today we would call disclosure. Kehoe was really big on, we got to get congressional hearings. We got to get congressional hearings and get this information in front of Congress and let the American people know. And so there was a, you might say, a philosophical conflict right there between Kehoe and the Lorenzens, and inter-organizational rivalry, maybe some bitterness there. I never met Kehoe. But was well aware because I had read a number of his books, Aliens from Space, and some of the other titles. But that was the you might say the philosophical difference between APRO and NICAP from my perspective. Some other people might have a different take on that.
So, you mentioned that there was some, kind of political undercurrents going on. Obviously this kind of started, we see that now in full force, but this started way back when. What were their feelings about Walt Anderson? How did all of that rivalry come up?
Okay. I was, you might say, present at the creation there. At that time, we're talking now about 68, 69, somewhere in that general neck of the woods there. I was living there in mid-Missouri. This was just probably about a year before I started my graduate work at the University of Missouri to get my master's degree in library science. And I knew, the Lorenzens there from my time in San Diego, and I had visited APRO headquarters on a couple of occasions there when I had traveled from San Diego to Tucson on one thing or another. But when I went back to Missouri to work for a year and then go to school there, I knew what the story was there. Walt Andrus originally was an APRO field investigator who lived in Quincy, Illinois, and was just sending, investigating and sending stuff in and stuff like that. But when there was a lot of activity, a flap there in the area there, he would get overwhelmed with the amount of information that was coming in and just sending it into APRO Tucson there. And then it was up to the Lorenzens to decide what they were going to do and how they were going to do it. APRO was a very centralized organization there. Everything had to come into Tucson, and then everything that was going to go out came out of Tucson. There were no state chapters the way you have in MUFON, so there wasn't any state director for Illinois or Missouri or whatever. It was, everybody was either a field investigator, a research specialist, which meant that you had at least a master's degree, but you didn't have a doctorate there, or a consultant, which meant that you had a doctorate in some sort of field there, whether it was astronomy or botany or psychiatry or whatever. If you wanted to be an APRO consultant, you had to have a PhD or an MD. Anyway, so what Walt wanted was he wanted the list of names of other APRO field investigators that were in the Quincy, Illinois area, so that if a whole bunch of stuff came in there, he could get in contact with them and they could jump on this material early, while it was still fresh, rather than sending all the stuff to Tucson, waiting for it to get sent on, and then having the Lorenzens send it to the people that they wanted to send it to there. And so that was the start there. He wanted a list of people in the Quincy, Illinois area. Well, that did not sit well with the Lorenzens, primarily Coral. There, and she, was doing stuff like, oh yeah, he just wants to get all those names there because he really wants to start another organization there and destroy APRO and throw it on the ash heap of history. Well, not really. There, but there was a lot of acrimony back and forth and insults and stuff like that, and things went from from bad to worse, and then so eventually Walt Andrus quit APRO and started his own little group there in Quincy, which to do what he originally thought, and it was called the Midwest UFO Network. And then other people learned about that and thought, hey, this is a pretty good idea and stuff like that. And can we, help out? Can we join? And stuff like that. And it started to grow and grow and grow there and into other states, and then eventually all over the country. And when it got to one point, where it had obviously grown outside of the area generally referred to as the Midwest, they decided, gee, we're going to need to change the name of the group because we're no longer just the Midwest UFO Network. They're all over the country. So, but they wanted to keep the acronym MUFON there, so they had to have a first name there that would allow them to keep that. So they had some sort of a contest, and I don't know what the prize was. Maybe a year's subscription to the journal at that time, which was called Skylook, rather than the MUFON Journal. And so it became the Mutual. That was the name that resonated with most people. The Mutual UFO Network and MUFON, so there. And I got caught in the crossfire of both organizations. Coral wanted me to spy on that evil Walt Andrus, and Walt wanted me to find out what sort of shenanigans Coral was up to now. That was even after I had graduated from the University of Missouri and had gone to Idaho to start my first job, and then on to Cleveland, Ohio for the second job. So I was sort of like in between there, and I don't think that I was really trusted by either organization during that particular time frame. I know Coral wanted me to go to the annual MUFON Symposium and find out what that no good Walt Andrus was up to. Well, I'd go to some of the the lectures there, but they weren't going to let me into like the state directors meeting or the board of directors meeting or stuff like that.
Right.
I could talk to some people in the hallway and stuff like that, but that and the otherwise, so it was sort of like, whatever. Walt said this, Coral said that, and each side would probably, chew on their little gem of information.
So do you?
See, I told you so.
So basically, it doesn't sound like anything's changed with regard to kind of that not wanting to share information or not wanting to work together or share resources or data, and then that's got to be for you, because you've been in this for so long. I mean, doesn't that get disheartening after a while to see this kind of stuff going on?
Well, and that's in a way. Excuse me. In a way, I think that's why World UFO Group came into existence, and I didn't have anything to do with the creation of World UFO Group. I just more stepped into it there. World UFO Group was the brainchild of two young people, both in their 20s. One who currently lives in the Netherlands, and the other who at the time lived in Indiana. Young man, young woman there. The man's still living, but the young woman, she tragically died in a car accident in February of 2012. World UFO Group, or WUFOG, was created in November of 2011, and as a virtual community and global UFO information exchange. So we don't have chapters. We don't investigate. We don't do a lot of things. We basically just put information out there, and then people can judge for themselves the usefulness or lack thereof according to their own standards there. In the first couple of months, from November of 2011 to January of 2012, the organization went from 0 to around 1,300 members on Facebook in that period of.
That's incredible. You need to give me some. You need to teach me how to do this.
And then I just joined because oh, this sounds good, and it's free. That was one of the things that C.P. Drake and Michelle Wong insisted on, that it be free, that there's no membership dues or monetary stuff there, because the information is too important to people as a whole. That just because you don't have the money doesn't mean that you can't or you don't need the information.
Absolutely.
So
and
that's one reason why.
That's amazing. I just have to, and sorry to interrupt you, but I just want to say that's really, really important. And I think, in my opinion, kind of that's a shortcoming of some of the organizations now, is they don't feel that sharing the data or sharing information is in the public's best interest, which I don't quite understand, because we're all in this together and we should be doing that.
Yeah. Well, that was that, because WUFOG has people, members on 6 continents there, and we don't have anybody in Antarctica, but then penguins and frozen scientists don't count anyway. So
oh, come on. They probably do more so than a lot of people, I would say.
Well, for some people, I use the thing. We don't have anybody in Antarctica, but penguins and frozen Nazis don't count. So they're. But anyway, no. But anyway, so everything is there, and the other thing about WUFOG is our other thing. We're not just on Facebook. We're also on Twitter, and the Twitter thing, I think, is growing faster than the Facebook thing. We have somewhere between 9,500 and 10,000 members on on Twitter. Now, how much of that is overlap? I don't know.
Wow.
But you could say that probably between the two components there that we have between 25 and 30,000 members worldwide. Like I said, now I don't know whether how much duplication is between the two. I haven't had the time to try and do that sort of thing. I have enough trouble trying to keep my head above water each day.
That makes two of us, exactly.
Anyway.
So you're basically dominating the social media sphere, and I think that's really impressive. And the thing I want to say before we go to break is that I really appreciate the way that your organization is respectful. And I don't think I've seen a Facebook page that has such productive dialogue. And I think that's needed. And I don't know how you do it, because you see these social media pages where you get the same negative people in there. And I love what you guys have done. It's so refreshing and so positive.
Well, at first we just had a thing where anybody could post there, but that started going down.
Right. I've got to cut you off really quick because I want to finish that thought, but we're going to take a break here. And I wanted to say thank you, Alan, for being here. I'm Erica Lukes. This is UFO Classified. We're going to take a break, and we will be back. Make sure you call in with your questions.
Listen very carefully.
This is Houston. Say again, please. Houston, we've had a problem.
This is UFO Classified, live every Friday night, 4 p.m. Pacific, 7 p.m. Eastern, exclusively on the KCOR Digital Radio Network. The truth is out there, just waiting to be discovered.
And now, if you will, accompany me on a journey to the future.
For more information on the host of UFO Classified, Erica Lukes, upcoming guests, as well as links to the past shows, visit her website at UFOclassified.com. UFO Classified. UFO Classified. UFO Classified. This is KCOR Las Vegas, home of the Digital Radio Network, broadcasting from a shack just south of Area 51. Wait, that doesn't exist. This is the KCOR Digital Radio Network. Now for the news.
Now, broadcasting in digital HD radio.
The disc landed at a ranch at Corona, New Mexico. The rancher turned it over to the Air Force. Rancher W.W. Brazil was the man who discovered the saucer.
What I thought was a star began coming in my direction at a very rapid rate of speed.
The unidentified object, which some sources thought might be a blimp, moved slowly down the Pacific coast from Santa Monica and disappeared south of Long Beach.
I saw a UFO, and it went down the river, turned right at the United Nations, turned left, and then down the river.
UFO Classified. UFO Classified. No more plausible deniability. Fact, fiction, or the truth. You decide. And now, the new voice of the high desert, the hostess of UFO Classified, Erica Lukes.
Welcome back for the last half of UFO Classified. I'm Erica Lukes on KCOR Digital Broadcasting Network. I would like to give a shout out to all of my friends in the chat room. I think all of my favorite people are in there tonight. We've got Pat from Fringe Radio, who has just designed a beautiful website for Unexplained Utah, my assistant director, Jeff Cox, Bill, who does amazing sky watches, and he actually is mentioned on our website, and we're going to be joining forces and doing, I hope, a global live Skywatch, which would be really, really fun. We've got Patty, UFO author, Wayne, all of my friends are there. And I'd like to thank all of you for listening from all over the world. It really means a lot to me. So keep listening and find me on UFO Classified on Facebook or UFOclassified.com. My guest next week is Chris Bledsoe. And this is, 2 weeks of brilliant radio with people that don't come on very often. Chris Bledsoe has had really interesting encounters, and a case in Fayetteville that was investigated by MUFON. Very, very interesting. It was seen on UFOs Over Earth on the Discovery Channel. He's a very kind human being that had and has interesting experiences. I'm thrilled he will be on the show. Right now, I have someone that very rarely does interviews, so I am just thrilled. And he has an amazing background. He's been in this subject for decades. Alan Benz is amazing. He used to be a member of APRO and a field investigator. And he has, and I want to talk about this, Alan. You were pre-production background consultant for Close Encounters of the Third Kind. How cool is that? Oh my gosh.
Yeah, well, that was one of those accidental sort of things. I didn't go knocking on Columbia's door and saying, "Yoo-hoo, let me tell you all about UFOs." Columbia, when they were doing their stuff, they decided, "Gee, we gotta know something about this stuff. Who knows something about this?" And somebody there in Burbank said, "Oh, you ought to get in contact with the Lorenzens in Tucson, Arizona. They know a lot about this stuff." So somebody from Columbia contacted the Lorenzens there in here in Tucson, and said, "Hey, we're going to be doing this UFO movie, and we need to know some stuff there. Can you help us out?" And neither Jim nor Coral were, "Oh yeah, we'll really, we'll do that and stuff like that." No, we're too busy putting out the bulletin, or we're busy writing our next book because.
And I have to say, they were great bulletins. I think the best bulletins that I've seen, and you can find them on Open Minds. They have most of the APRO bulletins there, and they are very educational, and I think better than what we've got going on now as far as that goes.
Yeah, I think Greenwald, John Greenwald, has some copies at the Black Vault also.
Oh, that's wonderful.
Yeah, and to toot my own horn because nobody else is going to do it.
I'll do it for you.
I probably have as a bigger collection of the APRO bulletins. Gee, imagine that. As just about anybody else. And we were talking earlier about the UFO collection, the UFO material collection at the University of Arizona Library. I was in there just the other day just to take a look, and they actually have bound copies of, I would say, most of the APRO bulletins. They're in the
gosh.
And also the other one there that is the well, I would consider it even better than the APRO bulletin or whatever, and that is the back issues of Flying Saucer Review.
Oh, I've heard that was amazing, and I have to just say really quick, and again, I'm so sorry to cut you off, but we've got somebody who's been waiting patiently on the phone to ask you a question because of your expertise in Arizona, and so I want to bring Bill on to ask you a question. Bill, are you there?
Yes. Good evening, Erica, and good evening, Alan. How are you this evening?
We are, you know what? We're better now that you're here. Bill is an avid sky watcher, and he has a great YouTube channel, and he is doing quite a bit of interviewing himself, and he's just getting out there. And I'm so excited to be his friend. It's great. Bill, thanks for calling in.
It's my pleasure to have the opportunity to speak to both of you. It's interesting. Before I ask my question, speaking of Close Encounters, though, I always wondered if Steven Spielberg had some type of insight to material or documentation, not just making Close Encounters, but again in Taken, the TV series that he did, and even Falling Skies that recently finished up on cable. But it seems like Steven Spielberg has a little personal interest, I think, in ufology. That's just
probably more than a little. Yeah, I think he's.
Yeah, I think so too. But Alan, my question to you is: in 1953, on May 20th, there was an incident in Arizona, which was, I think, it was reported by researcher Raymond Fowler of a possible craft that crashed, and there was retrieval of maybe back engineering and the possibility of 4 alien bodies being recovered at the site. Are you aware of that at all?
Yes, I've heard about that from numerous sources. I don't have any more information on that than the average person does. It's generally referred to as the Kingman crash. Although I don't think it actually, was there in Kingman, but probably somewhere there in Mojave County. There, but I am familiar with basic stuff, and I think Ray Fowler is still alive. I don't think he's active. I haven't heard anything from him or about him for some time, but I am familiar with the incident that you referred to there. And if people are not familiar with Arizona geography, Kingman is in the northern part of the state, west of Flagstaff, but before you get to the Colorado River and the state line with Nevada. There, it might be something that somebody, not me, might want to look into, just like the Ramseys looked into the Aztec incident after all those years, and they dug up a ton of information. But
yes, it's along with Dr. Frank Thayer. Yes, I'm familiar with. They just came out actually with a book on the Aztec UFO incident.
Yeah, Frank Thayer and the Ramseys, Scott Ramsey and his wife there, and they there's a YouTube video up that was put out by UFO TV called the Aztec UFO incident. There, it runs about 45 to 55 minutes. And very well done there, but somebody may just need to do an Aztec on Kingman.
You know what? Actually, I've been thinking, and Bill, it's interesting. Maybe we should combine forces on this, because I have been very intrigued with that case myself, and you just never know. So maybe if you and your mom want to drive on out here, we could go down to Arizona.
I would love to, but just if I can, one more quick comment and a question. Alan, there seems to be a lot of phenomenon, even going back to Roswell, maybe even back to the Battle of L.A., if you want to take it that far, as far as the military's involvement. But there seems to be some kind of correlation between our military installations and UFO sightings It seems like this is a common phenomenon where UFOs are seen. I mean, Robert Salas, when he was at the Malmstrom Air Force at the base, there seems to, even in Rendlesham, if you want to go there, but it seems like there's attraction. Are there any locations in Arizona that may attract UFO activity due to the state of top secret military activity, or even some type of anomalous natural phenomena like magnetic fields?
Well, I'm trying to think. Back a number of years ago, probably, I would say probably at least 10 to 15 years ago, when former Arizona State Director George Parks was in office and doing the job that Jim Mann and Stacy Ryder are doing now. He said that people that, and George Parks was an old Navy man. He spent a number of years in the Navy, and I think he was basically in the subservice. But anyway, he said that a number of people, he didn't say how many, or if he did, I forgot, had reported to him that they had seen some really suspicious activity there in a restricted military area west of Tucson, known as the Goldwater Range, which is where A-10s and other Air Force craft go and practice bombing and gunnery practice there. But he said that Parks said that his respondents there had indicated that one night these people had been out in that area, and they noticed a whole bunch of really bright lights coming from the Goldwater Range there, and they got up as close as they could, and they saw a lot of high security military activity going on, and it looked like there was some sort of craft there that the observers were not familiar with. Now, for anybody that knows anything about the Goldwater Range, there are no landing sites out there. It's just open desert. For Erica and those up in the Utah area, it would be like the UTRR north of I-80 west of Salt Lake City. It's open desert there. It's where the flyboys go to shoot up the ground. So if there was some sort of activity out there, it would seem to be that it was some sort of a downed craft. Now, whether that downed craft was Earth-made or not Earth-made, we don't know, because the respondents, they didn't try to get up and go in and get a better look or anything like that. Nothing appeared in the paper, anything like that. But Parks was a serious, reputable person, and since he was the one that reported it there, I'm assuming that he thought that his sources were serious and responsible people. So something happened out there, and what it was, I don't know. I don't think Parks knew, and I don't think we'll ever know what it was that was out there. There's there's enough federal land out here that you could have a number of sort of thing, bases or whatever, which just brings to mind something. When Christine Dickey, who was another former MUFON state director, just before I think Jim and Stacy took over, one of the people that lived over in the Yuma area, which is in the far west part of Arizona, and is right on the Colorado River, which separates Arizona from California. This one woman would call Chris Dickey, who lives up north in the community, about halfway between here in Phoenix, and would report that I see craft on a regular basis that aren't regular military craft, because Yuma is the home of a Marine Corps air station, so a lot of the people there are familiar with military craft. But this woman said, I see craft on a regular basis, and they are flying right towards the mountains east of Yuma, called the Kofa Mountains. There, and they fly right into the mountains, and they don't crash. And this woman was asking Chris to come out to Yuma and take a look. Well, I don't think Chris ever did, because as her late husband said, it's around 250 miles from our place to Yuma, one way, and then back, and all of that money comes out of our pocket. There, and whether it's going to be a wild goose chase or something else, you never know. But that's sort of like the reality of the situation.
Absolutely. And I just have to say, Bill, thank you. We're getting ready to go to our break. And always thanks for calling in. Those great questions tonight, as always.
And thank you both. I commend you the both of you for the research and the investigative work that you do. And it was a pleasure speaking to both of you this evening. So have a great night.
Thanks, Bill. I'll talk to you soon. I know that. Tell your mom hi.
I will. Good night.
Good night. So we do have to, we're getting ready to take our last break, but I want to start kind of digging into a little bit more about why did you get into this? Did you have your own personal sighting?
Well, to answer the question, yes, but that wasn't the reason. Back in the eons, in the mists of pre-time and all that sort of stuff. I had just finished my bachelor's degree at the University of San Diego, and it was summer break before I was to go back and start my grad work in history at the University of San Diego. And my mother was a big Art Linkletter fan, and so she always had him on the radio there to find out what.
And that's a name from the past. I just have to say, so to my grandmother, I have not heard the name Art Linkletter in a long, long time.
Yeah, right. And but the Oprah of his day,
Exactly.
And, so anyway, he had this one guest on that I think anybody that's been in the field for any length of time will instantly recognize. He had Frank Strange's on.
Oh my gosh. Okay. I'm getting the, Tina's typing me saying that we've got 2 minutes to break. And so we will talk about Frank and then continue that story when we get back, because this is going to be good. I just know it. I'm so excited to hear about how you got into this and your sightings. And I want to just say again to all of my friends out there listening, thank you so much, Bill. Great question. Everybody, please make sure you go to Facebook and like UFO Classified, and please make sure that you also pay attention to the important work that World UFO Group is doing. And also, we're going to be celebrating World UFO Day coming up on July 2nd, and we'll be talking more about that. But also, join me next week for Chris Bledsoe. This is such a treat. I've been talking to him, and I can tell you that he is the absolute real deal. You are going to love this. We will be right back.
Stand by. This is UFO Classified with Erica Lukes. The phone lines are open now at 702-425-9230. That's 702-425-9230. Worldwide callers use Skype name KCOR Radio. More UFO Classified with Erica Lukes on the KCOR Digital Radio Network. After this.
Looking for a radio show like no other?
We need something brand new.
Then tune in to the KCOR Digital Radio Network, Tuesdays at 6 p.m. Pacific, 9 p.m. Eastern, and get ready for the quantum shift. The world is evolving around us. Will you be ready for the shift?
This is one of the most important decisions you'll ever make.
The Quantum Shift. Hosted by Dr. Sam Muggsy, will enlighten your understanding of the world and bring you mentally into a better understanding of existence. The Quantum Shift. Quantum Shift. Quantum Shift. Quantum Shift. Live Tuesdays at 6 p.m. Pacific, 9 p.m. Eastern. Exclusively on the KCOR Digital Radio Network.
3 guys, no ties.
But we got Jerome in the studio from Reno tonight.
Thanks, Jerome, for being here, man. Welcome.
Told you he was going to be here last week. Told you you might have a gun on him. I don't see one on your hip right now. In his pocket, I see it. Anyway.
Is that a gun in your pocket? Or you?
I can't see. The monitor's in the way. Barrel sticking out of his pocket. I mean, the handle.
3 guys, no ties. Wednesday night, 7 to 9 p.m. Pacific. Right here on the KCOR Digital Radio Network.
Alien Deceptions, a suspenseful sci-fi romance thriller by Tina Marie, featuring the tantalizing Erica Jones and the mysterious Russell Hamilton. An out-of-this-world book of fiction based on years of document facts and files the government does not want you to know about. At least, not yet. Alien Deceptions by Tina Marie. Available now at Amazon.com or get a signed copy at TinaMarieEntertainment.com. Get your copy now.
Friday night, 9 p.m. Pacific. Jump onto the Celestial Highway and travel at the speed of light. Into hyperspace. Hyperspace. Hosted by Solaris Blue Raven. She navigates you through the cosmic tides of mysticism into the world of covert technology, UFOs, mystical sciences, and the world of unforeseen forces.
You get to really sort of enjoy a bizarre ride.
Listen live, Friday night, 9 p.m. Pacific. For Hyperspace. The one show that blows the whistle off our government black ops projects. Hyperspace. Hosted by Solaris Blue Raven. Exclusively on the KCOR Digital Radio Network.
Want to take a ride?
This is the world famous KCOR.
That's the only station I listen to.
You're listening to UFO Classified with Erica Lukes.
where the truth isn't hidden beneath the black lines of a Sharpie.
That's the craziest thing I've ever heard.
To be on with Erica, call 702-425-9230. That's 702-425-9230. Worldwide callers use Skype name KCOR Radio.
Radio contact.
Share your thoughts on the show on Twitter by using hashtag KCOR. Or head over to the live chats at KCORradio.com.
The audience goes nuts!
And now, your host of UFO Classified.
Are you ready?
Erica Lukes.
Erica Lukes.
Welcome back to our last segment of the show. It always pains me so to say that. I want to just say that today, back June 24th, 1947, marked the beginning of the modern UFO era. It was the day when Kenneth Arnold had his famous sighting. So read up on Kenneth Arnold and that sighting and just learn all about that. It's such a great anniversary for all of us. My guest tonight is Alan Benz, who has graciously agreed to be here on the show. He doesn't do a lot of interviews, and I'm thrilled to have his knowledge and for him to share all of these things that he's learned. And we were talking about how he got into ufology and if he'd had a sighting or not. And when we left for the break, he was talking about Dr. Frank Strange's. So continue your conversation.
Well, Art Winkletter had Frank Strange's on, and Strange's was talking about Valiant Thor and Stranger at the Pentagon and all of that. And so I had just finished up getting my bachelor's degree in history at the University of San Diego, and so I had a free summer before starting grad school in the fall. So I marched on down to the San Diego Public Library and asked the librarian down there, do you have any books on flying saucers or UFOs? And took me over there and showed me what they had. And they had some of the now classics there, Ruppelt's report on unidentified flying objects, and Kehoe's stuff, and the George Knapp of his day, Frank Edwards with his book Flying Saucers, Serious Business, so I started reading that, and sort of like going down the rabbit hole, deeper and deeper he goes there, and umpteen decades later, he's still going.
So have you had a sighting?
I had a sighting there. It was in San Diego, and it was in the morning, and I was on my way from our residence to pick up my mother because she had spent the night with some relatives that lived in the South Bay area, if any of your listeners know anything about the geography of San Diego. And so we lived basically up on a hill overlooking the San Diego airport and the bay there. And so I was coming down off the hill this particular morning, and it was probably up 9:30 in the morning, something like that. And I had to make a right turn onto this rather major street in order to then eventually get on the freeway to go down to the South Bay area and pick up my mother. well, as I'm getting ready to make the turn, I see this glint of light. It's like light shining off of some shiny metal, and so I think, well, what was that? And could that be or whatever? And I'm still trying to drive and do like 35 miles an hour or so, and not get, not stop in the middle of traffic and getting rear-ended or anything like that. So go down and around, all around the mulberry bush. And so anyway, I get back so that I can eventually get on the freeway to get down to the South Bay area to pick up Mother. And I look off to the right to see whether this thing is still there. Maybe 5 minutes has passed since the initial awareness. And what I saw was a classic disc-shaped object there with no wings, no tail, no engines, no visible means of support, totally silent, and it's out over the bay. And it's at an angle, probably not quite 45 degrees, so that you can see the top, but not the bottom. And the closest thing, people said, well, what did it look like? Okay, it's a disc, and it's metal and all this, but what did it look like? And I tried to think, well, what did it look like? And the closest thing that I could have ever been able to come up with was if somebody is familiar with the original Star Trek series back in the 60s. And
with Shatner, of course. He's my hero, I just have to say. I've got a crush on him.
And the original Enterprise there, okay, if you took the pods, the engine pods there, and the part that's under the disc shape, if you took all of that off and you just had the round disc shape there, that's just about as close to what I saw as I can recall, and it just sort of just silently glided up into the sky and then just sort of disappeared there. And I was a natural field investigator at the time because that was about a year and a half after becoming aware to Art Linkletter, Frank Stages, yada yada, there. So I investigated my own sighting because I was the only one in town.
And see, that's the same thing for me. I mean, I had, some sightings here, and that's kind of what propelled me into doing what I'm doing. And I became my own investigator because nobody else was doing it. And I think that's a great thing. It's taught me a lot about how to observe natural phenomena and how to discern between different types of aircraft. I mean, it's a really great learning process to do that.
Yeah, and the interesting thing about this was that if anybody's familiar with the geography of San Diego and stuff like that, okay, you have this craft. It's out over the bay. Okay, on one side of the bay, you have San Diego International Airport. On the other side of the bay, you have North Island Naval Air Station there. This craft is in between those two major facilities. They're at around 9:30 in the morning, clear San Diego Chamber of Commerce Day. And so when I went to investigate my own sighting, I didn't say, hey, I saw this No, I let them know that who I was and that I represented the Aerial Phenomena Research Organization, field investigator, and we had a report of, and then I reported that. And I talked to FAA supervisors, some of the people in the tower, FAA tower there, who, had to be looking right out in that direction unless they're blind and one eye couldn't see out of the other. And then on the other side, you have North Island Naval Air Station. They're home of retired admirals and a lot of expensive military aircraft there. So this totally unconventional craft comes and more or less hovers in this area between these two major facilities for like 5 minutes or so. And then not only that, you've got, well, you didn't have I-5 at that time. It was 101, but it was still a major freeway there with people coming and going. So I talked to the people at the airport. I talked to people at North Island. I talked to the two newspapers at that time, the Union Tribune, or the Evening Tribune, San Diego Union. And I talked to San Diego Police Department, the County Sheriff, California Highway Patrol. We see nothing. We heard nothing. Sort of reminded me of Hogan's Heroes and.
Oh my gosh, Hogan's Heroes! Oh, see, you're like Art Linkletter, Hogan's Heroes. You're taking me down memory lane. This is awesome.
There, but there. So I mean, how does this craft, this obviously structured craft, come and basically park itself in the middle of everything, and nobody sees it?
Right.
Are they all blind? If they're blind, what are they doing on the job? Or are they lying?
And isn't that interesting to me? Because I have had that same question. It's like, why are some people tuned into seeing these things? And why do other people? Is it just a matter of the fact that most people aren't looking up and paying attention? Or is it that, once somebody has a sighting, they're intuitively connected and they can see things other people can't see? I mean, what are your thoughts, especially when it comes to, the ET contact groups and all of that?
Well, they're I don't know. I mean, some people, they may be, they may have, I don't want to necessarily use the term mind control, but I mean, thoughts, beamed into them, you should be looking at, okay, and others, you don't see anything, there, or maybe it's because of the orders that came down from above there, that if you see it and somebody asks you about it, no, you didn't see it, even if you did see it, there, because there's, going back to my own thing there in San Diego, okay, you've got radar at San Diego Airport, you got radar at North Island. Was this or was this not picking up this craft that I saw? You've got trained observers who called FAA flight controllers that are looking out over the bay and making sure that it's safe for commercial aircraft and private aircraft to come in and go, and the same thing over at North Island. Are these people not, really not seeing it? And if they are not seeing it, why aren't they seeing it? There, and I don't know. When I don't know something, I just tell people I don't know. I don't try to, do the old soft shoe and dance around.
So I mean,
I don't know.
What do you think about the ET contact groups? Do you think people can go out and meditate and have a conscious connection and bring in vector in craft?
They might. Whether they have special abilities, or whether they have been, or whether we all have that and we're just not aware of it. I don't know. I mean, recently there was a gentleman here in town that used to have a long-running UFO weekly show. They're the Cutting Edge there, and he's into remote viewing these days there, and he said basically everybody can remote view, but you have to learn how to do it there, and he teaches people how to do it. I think I sent you his contact.
Yes, you did.
Information there. There. And he and his wife are probably back in New Hampshire by this time. But anyway, so yeah, and how much of this is of these people that say that they are contactees or abductees? How much of this is family linked, is generational?
Yes, and it
absolutely,
there's such a big connection there.
You know, the thing with that Bud Hopkins and Dave Jacobs brought up is the generational thing of abductees. If you are an abductee, probably somebody in your past, mother, father, great grandmother, whatever, was also an abductee, and probably some of your children will be abductees also, and whether or not whether you like it or not. And some of the stuff that Jacobs brought out in his latest book, Walking Among Us, which is really, in a way, it's a disturbing book, but I think that anybody that's interested at all in the abduction phenomenon needs to read that. They also need to read the book Abduction by the late John Mack there, because some of his stuff there, all of Mack's stuff is
it's incredible. Absolutely. And I'm a big fan of his. He did such brilliant work, and there will never be anybody like him, unfortunately.
There. I mean, hey, even Leo Sprinkle, and I've known Leo Sprinkle for. Leo Sprinkle was one of the original Afro consultants in psychology, and worked with the Lorenzens. Sprinkle was one of the first people to interview and do work with Travis Walton for Afro.
And he's I have a cute little, I just have to say that I've got a cute little card that Leo wrote me because he did a reading for me. And he is such a love and such a pioneer as well in the field, especially abduction research.
Yeah, I mean, some of his stuff there, the Shermer case from Nebraska, and the McGuire stuff there. The only thing is, Leo was a PhD. I don't want to. is a PhD in psychology from the University of Wyoming. That really doesn't, in the academic world, etc., that really doesn't equate with an MD in psychiatry from Harvard, So, in that sense, Mac would, outrank Leo, but Leo's no slouch, any way, shape, or form.
No,
anybody.
Absolutely not. So we've got just a couple minutes left before the show closes, and I just want to say, do you feel that what we're dealing with is malevolent or benevolent or a combination of both?
Probably a combination of both. And I have to go back to one of the statements that Bob Dean told me on more than one occasion. He said that when he left military service in 1976, he said the United States government knew, K-N-E-W, that there were 4 races that were in contact with the government there, and they had told the government, whoever you want to consider the government to be, that they would not allow the earth to fall over to the dark side.
Wow. And I've actually I've heard that before too, and I just it's interesting because the bottom line is we just don't know, and I think it is we need to work together as researchers and investigators, and at some point in time we have to get over the lower level political aspects of things and really do some research, because we don't know if they what they are, where they're from, if they're here to harm us or if they're here to help us, or a combination of both, like we were just saying. But I just want to say that it has been such an honor to have you on the show tonight. You have been so kind to me, and we've had great conversations, and people hold you in such high esteem. It's so much fun.
Well, thank you. I would say that, if you've got information cheap political plug here, join World UFO Group. It's free, people.
Yes, please, because it is the best Facebook. It is, and your organization, and you have great meetups too.
Yeah, well, we have some here in Tucson. I have some that I've put on. We've got one that's scheduled for July 2nd, World UFO Day. I just saw just today that Missouri MUFON is doing a World UFO Day thing in Kansas City. It's going to be a barbecue cookout and night vision skywatch in Kansas City.
And they're all my friends. So we are all going to connect and do some cool things with everything. We're going to celebrate World UFO Day, and that is your day. It's so cool.
Yeah, and World UFO Day happens where you are at any particular point in time on July 2nd there, and you can do it by just reading a book, watching a video, getting together with some friends. You don't have to have a big organized thing like the MUFON Symposium or the International UFO Congress or anything like that. It can be just a simple thing. I'm reading a book.
And thank you so much. We've got 1 minute to close the show, and I just want to say thank you, Alan, for being here. And I will post stuff about World UFO Day and World UFO Group on my website. And thank you very much for being here. Everybody, thanks for tuning in. I will be here next week with Chris Bledsoe, and stick around for a brilliant night of women here. We've got some great shows with the director, writer of the Phoenix Incident coming up on restricted airspace. Hilarious Blue Raven has Dave Sheldon. Stick around, have a great night, and I will catch you next week.
Listen very carefully.
This is Houston. Say again, please. Houston, we've had a problem.
This is UFO Classified, live every Friday night, 4 p.m. Pacific, 7 p.m. Eastern, exclusively on the KCOR Digital Radio Network. The truth is out there, just waiting to be discovered.
And now, if you will, accompany me on a journey to the future.
For more information on the host of UFO Classified, Erica Lukes, upcoming guests, as well as links to the past shows,
visit her website at UFOclassified.com.
UFO Classified.
UFO Classified.
This is KCOR Las Vegas, home of the Digital Radio Network.